on the tax show here every Sunday afternoon. I think this is a great moment to point out that oftentimes people are inhibited, whether it's the bankruptcy, whether it's the unresolved tax issue, almost embarrassed. I mean, I was embarrassed. I mean, when I got that letter from the California Franchise Tax Board before I met my new best friend, Peter Stephan, when I got that, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to get that letter. I mean, it was something, by the way, that, you put it in a drawer in the apartment, so when somebody comes over, it's the last thing you want them to see, right? Folks really need to take that important step in overcoming that inhibition, because the only way you're going to resolve these issues is to face them head on.
Brian, we've seen so many versions I've been doing this over 25 years, and I've heard what I consider to be every story. Once in a while, maybe once a year or so, I hear a new one, but then that makes me laugh. But I've heard every story. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. We have people who owe $25,000. I have a taxpayer right now who owes $180 million in taxes. So,
I have to shine a smile. You have a client who owes $180 million?
Yeah, we should be so lucky.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. You'd have to probably earn a lot to see. I don't always think it through. You'd have to earn a lot to owe $180 million. Really and truly, I don't want to make light of this client situation, but to think that you owed $180 million, I mean, wouldn't you be in jail for that? I mean, or how do you get out of bed if you owe $180 million in taxes?
Well, it's a classic situation of ignore the problem and it'll go away. Well, it never goes away. This is these are returns back from 2007, 8, 9, and most of the liability, truthfully, is due to non-filed returns. This won't be the hardest case that we're dealing with all year, even though it will be the biggest number.
Because you got a guy. Oh, I thought maybe you were going to say you got a guy who owes $181 million in taxes.
No, the number's high, but the solution to the problem is not going to be as difficult as the number may cause you to think.
Yeah, right.
We have cases that are $100,000 or $200,000 in tax liability, including interest and penalties, that are much, much more difficult to deal with. This one just happens to be very time-consuming.
Peter Stephan here from the Tax Resolution Institute. You talk about the shame and the embarrassment and how there's no need for that. I'm going to come back to Jim Felton from Greenberg and Bass, because you mentioned a couple of weeks ago here on the tax show every Sunday afternoon, you talked about this shame, this stigma. I asked you about it. I said there's a stigma associated with bankruptcy, and it does exist. We see it in politics. You see it all the time in the media. Celebrities, of course. This is oftentimes used to shame people. It's unfortunate that it happens, but the alternative is taking no action. And where does that lead you?
It leads you to nowhere. Is where it leads you, and nowhere is not a good place to be. So if you think you have a problem, you probably do. And if you do, you should probably call up the Tax Resolution Institute so we can determine whether or not bankruptcy or tax resolution can help. Ask people that are professionals to help you with your problems. Don't solve them yourself.
That number is 800-658-7590, 800-658-7590 at the Tax Resolution Institute. I love to tell people to go to the website because there's a ton of information there at taxresolutioninstitute.com, taxresolutioninstitute.com. Jim Felton, Greenberg and Bass, when someone reaches out to you, they just heard the words that you just said, which I think I hope people heard very clearly. If you think you have a problem, you probably do. From the time, and I know there's no consistent answer, but maybe there's a trend here. From the time somebody contacts you, they have that consultation, they come to you and say, Jim, I think I might be a candidate for bankruptcy. Between that consultation and the day that they begin to experience some relief, how long does that take?
It can take a matter of days or it can be months.
It can take only days sometimes?
Oh, sure. For example, if you had someone who was involved in a business litigation matter which was about to go to trial, and they couldn't afford to go to trial, they didn't want a judgment entered, we could file a bankruptcy within days. Now, the hope is that we get to them or they get to us before that date occurs, so we have some time, because you want to analyze all the issues. For example, and we've talked about it with prior shows, if that person also had tax issues, we want to make sure that those taxes can be discharged. We may not want to file so fast. We may want to delay the filing. You don't have to file fast unless there are circumstances that really require an immediate stay of those proceedings. That's what bankruptcy does. It'll stop the business litigation lawsuit from going forward. It'll stop certain other activity, other enforcement activity.
And people come to you to navigate that timeline for them.
Of course. And so fast may be good, but there could be unintended consequences for filing too fast. So depending on the remedy and depending on what else is out there, we could get it done very quickly, but we may not want to.
That's Jim Felton from Greenberg and Bass. This is The Tax Show with Peter Stephan from the Tax Resolution Institute. I'm Brian Whitman from The Morning Answer. We meet every Sunday afternoon to